Now, an 8-year-old girl is receiving emergency treatment at the Waliwali Government Hospital in the Northeast region after her father assaulted her with fire and a stick for allegedly stealing 10 Ghana cedis. The victim, who has since lost 3 fingers of her right hand, was accused by her stepmother of stealing the money from her grandmother. The girl is said to have denied the accusation and exonerated by the grandmother, but the father, identified as Al-Hassan Maijida, insisted the money was with her and attacked the little girl, beating her mercilessly with a stick, leading to eye injuries before setting her hand on fire. The victim was abandoned after the assault, which occurred last Wednesday night at Bapri, a village about 20 kilometers from Waliwali, the municipal capital. She was, however, rescued by a relative who rushed her to the Ulugu Health Center before she was quickly referred to the Waliwali hospital. The victim's auntie, Aminatu Salifu, who is now taking care of her at the hospital, spoke to regional correspondent Ilyasu Tanko.
Mambela yini to ntunza mamdin la kabatu kwala madu atamana nincham na kababuru mani kanza mpado atamapuni. I
received a call inviting me to this hospital, and upon arrival, I was introduced to this little girl who I readily identified. She is my junior sister's daughter, living with her father in one of the villages outside Waliwali. I asked her what is wrong with her, and she showed me her hand. I asked her what happened to her hand, and she said her father set it on fire and burned it. I asked her what crime she has committed to warrant this barbaric punishment by her father. Then she said she was wrongfully accused of stealing 10 Ghana cedis from her grandmother. The man first assaulted the child with a stick, leading to injuries to her eye before putting her hand into the fire. The next day, this man refused to give the child any treatment, rather abandoned her and left to his farm after this girl cried throughout the night. He didn't even care to get treatment for this child, and he has not come here either. It clearly shows this man is not remorseful. She was left alone in pain until her elder father came to the house and found her in this condition. So he brought her to the Ulugu facility, and they were referred here in Waliwali. This man has no patience, so we will take care of the child. But for my sister, she will never return into this kind of marriage.
Kakasurum katinya poa tindia bi mantibi amantunzo bangwana kangana dabsirin kani kunana anton da ngam mijira san.
Now, Ilyasu Tanko, our correspondent, has been following this story, and he joins us via Zoom for more on this. Ilyasu, first and foremost, how's the girl doing?
Hi, Daniel, I can hear you.
Great. How is the little girl doing, Ilyasu?
Daniel, please, can you repeat the question again?
How's the little girl faring now? How is she doing?
Well, as you can see behind me, yes, this is the little girl that we are talking about right now. And she has just moved from the emergency ward, currently standing at the back of the ward with her mother. Her mother just came down from Kumasi this early morning, and the family members have also gathered here. They are having family chats this morning, but you can see this is the little girl currently standing behind me. Hospital authorities are saying that her condition is stable, and you can see her clearly standing there. She's feeling a little better now, according to the hospital authorities.
Right. So Ilyasu, let's talk about the mother of the girl now. Focus a bit more on her, and you can allow the little girl to rest now. I can imagine she is very, very tired and feeling very, very traumatized, having gone through what she has gone through. So Ilyasu, you can let her go now. Now, what has her mother been telling you?
Well, this is the mother also. She has just come from Kumasi. She has the marriage has been a turbulent one. She left the marriage as a result of constant abuse, according to her. So she went to Kumasi, and this morning she have just come back from Kumasi as a result of this particular incident. She told me that she had suffered a lot of abuse in this particular marriage. And she recounted that on a particular incident, she was pregnant, and there was a misunderstanding between she and the husband. The husband beat her, stamped on her stomach, and she was brought to this same facility. The matter was never reported to the police. So as I speak to you right now, family members have gathered. They are trying to speak to the woman to understand not to pursue the case. As I speak to you now, the police form that has been issued to the woman has not been returned to the police, apparently because the family members are trying to stop her from reporting this particular case to the police. And clearly, as you can see her now, this is her items. She just returned from Kumasi. She hasn't got home. This is her items. I can show you her bag here. This is her the item she also brought back from Kumasi. So she's kind of very disturbed now, and also right now that the family members are trying to stop her from pursuing this case in the police. She's very, very stranded and confused right now, and you can see it clearly in her face. She told me that right now she doesn't know actually what to do, because initially when she was coming back from Kumasi, her intention was to pursue this case at the police station, because this is not the first time that the man has abused her, and now the daughter. But as we speak right now, family members are here speaking to her, desperately trying to get her to stop pursuing the case. So the woman is here. She's very, very confused right now.
Ilyasu, if you can engage her, if that is possible, I simply want to know where the form is, and if she is not willing to report to the police. Because, Ilyasu, we understand that this is a criminal matter. It does not lie with any family member or even she herself, whether or not this issue has to be pursued by the police. And so for the safety of the girl, it is only right that she goes ahead to report. Can you engage her and find out from her why she hasn't gone to the police yet?
So that's what I told you. So no, the police form the ban.
Masa kanu so mamin ay baman pucha ko iba sa police station. Ni guru ashe tama ba sa shi bi ma police station now. Kamani so man ko nanya ba ji anwa.
Mina na rejir filama ayele ne.
Oh mbere ma yeman.
Yeah, mina na rejir fila na bin zan yet ma police station. Bozo ka bo ban yet ma police station.
Na bo zan police station man ambe na zo. Mbe ma anyi zan an police station eno la yeto akaranta tama dama idu arabiga da shirbi sa tijesu tumman ma police zan bi tama ne ikule shiri zugumi agbale shirin ai alama ka so ko nyaka mbi ma ka to mo to ba kan anya bata nan tun sa ta shira ama ni sarwa mala to ashiya yan to mba yeto aso shi barajin ama to ne ya.
Well, Daniel, what she's trying to say is that this particular, she didn't report the matter to the police station. The hospital at Ulugu, obviously when the incident happened, the man left or abandoned this child and went to his farm. And so it was a relative of this child who found her alone in the house, then brought her to the Ulugu health facility, and she was quickly referred to this particular facility. So clearly what this woman is telling me right now is that she did not report the case to the police station. And so I asked her why she's refusing to pursue the police, and she said it's against their culture and tradition. It is against the tradition of the Mamprisi people for a wife to take her husband to the police station or to put her or to report a domestic affair before the police or to the police station. She said it is against the customs and tradition of the Mamprisi people. So this is the reason why she is not sending this to the court, even though she has told me that this man, like I said, on a particular incident, when she was pregnant, there was a dispute between them. The man beat her up with sticks and stamped on her stomach. She was sent to this particular hospital. She nearly lost that particular pregnancy, but she was safe. Nonetheless, the woman is saying, based on their tradition and custom, it is unacceptable for a woman to drag her husband to the police based on a domestic issue. So this is the reason why she's contemplating of not taking the matter to the police station or not returning the police form to them for them to take the next line of action, Daniel.
Right. Ilyasu, before we go ahead, let me just apologize to our audience. We are unable to show the footage that Ilyasu is showing us currently because I don't know if you noticed that the little girl keeps trying to get into the camera shot, and it's against our ethics to show juvenile victims of abuse. And so we are unable to show those live visuals from Waliwali, from the Ulugu hospital. Now Ilyasu, whatever the customs may be, the police has a responsibility to investigate this. And if anyone stops them from investigating it, including the girl's mother herself, they could also be charged for aiding and abetting. So my question is, what has the police been saying? What have they been doing? Are they simply sitting down and waiting for the phone to be brought to them, or they are actively pursuing the case?
Well, I spoke with the police commander, the municipal police commander this morning, and what he told me is that this particular case has not brought to his attention. And like I said, the police have, even though the police have issued a form, ostensibly they are waiting for the relatives to return the form so that they can take the next line of action. Like I said, the municipal police commander told me that this particular case hasn't brought to their attention. And so they are waiting for the relative to come with a police form so that they can come in and initiate an investigation. As we speak right now, it doesn't seem to appear that the relatives are ready to persuade this particular matter. The head of the family is currently here himself, trying to stop the relative of these particular, the mother and other relative of the victim from sending the matter or bringing the police in. And so it is a difficult situation. The social welfare have not also responded to this particular matter. And so the police have not taken any particular action, ostensibly waiting for the people to bring the police form before they step in, Daniel.
Thank you very much, Ilyasu Tanko. Let's move to other stories. And the Ghana Police Service has begun investigations into a bullion van shooting incident Thursday afternoon at Gomwa Otreko in the Kaswa, on the Kaswa-Winneba Road, in what is believed to be an attempted robbery attack. The armed assailants are said to have shot at the front passenger side of the van, but missed the police officer who was in the seat. No one was injured. The van was rescued by a patrol team from Winneba. Richard Kojonyako has details of this. He joins us via Zoom. Richard, what happened? Describe for us the incident again.
Well, so the police tell us that around 19 hours, an extract of occurrence was received from the Winneba police station to the effect that a bullion van with registration number GN 6956-17 on board by Sergeant Frank Ajiman and Martinson Odei JB, driven by Alfred Edu on special duties from Zenith Odoko branch with the cash amount of 550,000 Ghana cedis, were shot by an unknown person at a section of the road between Otreko and Domnasi Highway. But the occupant escaped unhurt. You know, the Otreko Highway is a place between Winneba and Potson, and very close to, not that close to Kaswa, and so that is where the incident happened. And so they were shot. Luckily, the people that were in bullion van did not get hurt, and so they escaped unhurt. That is what the police tell us. And so they say that the River Divisional Police provided an escort team to the bullion van that brought them back to Accra safely, and they are investigating the matter. In fact, they say that they are doing everything possible to get the suspect apprehended.
So if I heard you correctly, Richard, these persons fired a shot. When they realized they did not kill the policeman, they ran away.
Yes, exactly, because they felt that they were not successful, and so they had to go away. Because when they shot, the van was still moving, and so they realized that their target, they couldn't get their target. So if they had immobilized or they had disrupted the movement of the car, they would have just pounced on them and then taken away the booty or whatever they wanted to take away. But because they couldn't get their target, they ran away. And so that is why the police say that they are pursuing them and they will invest this matter to the logical conclusion.
Now, is there any indication that this incident could be linked to the one that occurred in Accra?
Well, the police have not said so. They only said that, well, this is the first, if you like, that has happened on that particular stretch. And so for now, they are not forming linkages between what happened in Accra and this one. But because it's crime, they wouldn't rule that thing out, because it could be that these are a group of people or a syndicate that have really purposed or planned to execute things like that, and their target are the bullion vans. And so when the incident happened in Accra, they decided to try other road network as well to see if some luck will smile on them.
Tell us about the driver and the policeman who were in the car. How are they feeling now?
Well, so the police tell us that they are doing very well because the bullet did not get to them, even though they were traumatized, but they are taking them through some counseling. And as the police have already indicated, they need some good vehicles, bulletproof, if you like, so that in the line of duties embarked on by their persons or their personnel, they will not get injured or die in the course of discharging their duties. And so that is what they are pleading.
And has the cargo of the vehicle been taken safely to its destination?
Exactly. So they pulled them back, and so they were escorted to the Odoroko branch where these people were supposed to go to.
Richard Kojo-Nyako, thank you very much for those updates from the Central Region. Now, the minority in Parliament is accusing government of running away from accountability after the Finance Minister yesterday failed to provide answers to the House on how much President Akufo's latest foreign trips cost the taxpayer. Ken Oforiatta was billed to appear to answer questions on the issue, but he has requested for more time. Ranking member on Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa says the delay tactics appear to be efforts to conceal the truth.
It's about financial accountability. This is about financial prudence. This is about national priorities. This is about protecting the public purse, which the President himself pledged that he will do. So it's curious. It's very curious that on a matter like this, remember, since we raised it, since my first publication, government has just stayed away. You in the media have complained about how difficult it has been for you to get a response from government. Now we've brought them to the more appropriate forum where they are constitutionally bound to be accountable. And there's all of these delay tactics. It must strike you as very strange, because really, what do they have to hide? If you don't have anything to hide, if you have acted above board, if you are not trying to buy time, for whatever reason, I don't want to be accused of being, if you like, putting the cart before the horse or engaging in prejudicial commentary. But clearly, this is worrying. This is worrying. And it appears that it's as though something is happening behind the scenes, and they need time to complete whatever they are doing. You don't get a good sense. This, as I keep saying, is a sad day for accountability and for good governance. These are not the tenets of accountability of good governance. If you have nothing to hide, if you don't need to buy time to do anything untoward, you just respond and respond as quickly. I even thought that looking at the enormous public interest in this matter, government would not even have waited to be dragged here by urgent questions. Ministers could have come here with a statement even before questions are filed. Yet none of that happened. What is so, complicated about this transaction that the finance ministry would need so much time, and the finance minister is not telling us even how much time extra he needs to respond?
But Majority Chief Whip in Parliament, Frank Anodom, says the Ministry of Finance has nothing to hide.
There were two questions I cited. One related to the aircraft, and the other related to the finance minister in terms of the volume or the quantum of funds spent. Today, and those of you who have been in this house long enough, you know every Thursday we have a business committee meeting. And the business committee is a committee of parliament. It's not made up of only the majority side. It's both sides represented on the committee. I chair the committee today. The majority leader, whom you all know is bereaved, was unavoidably unavailable. So I chaired the committee. Members of the minority were there. This matter came up, and we were reliably informed that the specific answer to that specific question was not ready at that time, and hence we had to defer that question. And if you saw or witnessed it, the honorable minority leader, when the honorable Ablakwa got up and raised the matter, the honorable minority leader got up and spoke to him to remind him of the decision at the committee level. Now, in this house, the tools that we use, statements, questions, and all that, all of us have explored it. But you see, to accept or not to accept a question lies in the bosom of the speaker. And it's the speaker that makes that decision. So if a member has a question, regardless whether the question has been advertised for in the order paper or not, you have a responsibility to follow up at the speaker's secretariat, especially where your leader has told you that the question has been deferred because answers are not ready. In my view, it's preemptive and quite unnecessary for the member to hold a press conference and begin to read meanings to words as if the minister is afraid to come and answer the question. Don't know, the minister was in the house today. He answered a similar question. So we must all come to an understanding that it is because the answer was not ready. That was why the minister didn't come to respond to that particular question. And we must get this clear enough.
Let's stay in Parliament, and last night the House pulled brakes on processes to approve the nominations of 12 deputy ministers designates after the majority side lost a voice vote on a request to rush the process. The Standing Orders of Parliament says no report which comes on the floor should be debated until 48 hours have elapsed. The minority objected to an attempt by the majority MPs to waive the provision. They were unhappy that the Appointments Committee member Al-Hassan Suhuyini's objection to the approval of Deputy Education Minister designate Gifty Chum Ampofo had not been captured in the committee's report. Listen to the Minority Chief Whip, Muntaka Mubarak.
I'm surprised my colleague, the Majority Whip, is rather accusing us of pulling a surprise. In actual sense, Mr. Speaker, it is they who were pulling a surprise on us. Mr. Speaker, this is a report that the first draft was given to the minority leader. He went through by the first deputy speaker. He went through, he drew the chairman's attention of our concern. And he did not tell him that I cannot take your concern on board. He never told him that. So the understanding of the minority leader was that those concerns were taken care of. And the final report had not been shown to the minority leader, only to get to the floor of the House. And then the concerns that were raised were not taken care of. And now the first British Speaker is now giving explanation why he did not take those concerns on. Who is pulling a surprise on the other? It is you, because already the report, because of the consensus, that was why we were willing to stand down the 48 hours, because you are supposed to distribute this, let members read it, be conversant with the content of it before we take it. But because the assumption was that the concerns had been relayed by the minority leader and it's been taken care of, and therefore the assumption was that we do not need to drag it further, but allow it to go. Now, you are insisting on your pound of flesh. The only thing we will have to do is to insist that let's go the full hog. So that the full hog is that each of the report will have to take 48 hours, and then whatever there is in there, we'll battle it when the time comes. Yes. Mr. Speaker, yes. They've lost the vote, and we have to adjourn the House to tomorrow, if they do not have any other business. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompe has been responding to this as well. He said the objection is not good for efforts to build consensus in the House.
I want to put on record that our colleagues have sprung a surprise. Our colleagues have sprung a surprise, and it is not good for consensus building. I think, Speaker, even this morning, don't go that route. We engaged our colleagues, and there were no views like this. I am surprised they are opposing this procedural motion. However, Speaker, I want to crave your kind indulgence that as important as this matter is, or as important as this motion is, Speaker, you suspend sitting for 20 minutes for the House to come back and take a decision on this procedural motion. Speaker, I submit that if we go this tangent, it is not good for the House. It is definitely not good for the House. And Speaker, I want to employ your wisdom that we suspend sitting for 20 minutes and come back to take a decision on this procedural motion. Speaker, so submit.
Joseph OppongKufua joins us on phone. So on that specific request that Frank Anodompe made, was it granted?
And so the Speaker said that he wanted the House to take a decision on that and not himself. So then he called for a vote in the House on that separately, apart from the earlier vote on the waiver of the 48-hour window. And that voting started. It was disrupted to a certain extent because then MPs were asked to stand and be counted. At a point in time, the officials from the clerk's office were finding it difficult counting who was standing and who was actually voting in favor of that. Eventually, the majority side backed down and said that if the Speaker wants to go ahead and adjourn sitting instead of suspending and coming back to deal with it, they don't have a problem with that. So the Speaker went ahead to adjourn sitting, and we're waiting to see if they will get back to that particular business today, or they'll wait for the 48 hours to then pass, which will then be next week, Tuesday, because then it's about 16 days when it comes to Parliament sitting, before then they can look at that particular report again.
Okay, so that gives me clarity on my what's next question, which was coming next. But let's go to the specific issue of Gifty Chum Ampofo. What is the member Al-Hassan Sohini's question about the nominee?
You recall that sometime last year there was a documentary that was put out by Corruption Watch after the NPP primary that sought to catalog alleged incidents of bribery that had taken place ahead of the NPP primary. Yeah. And in one of those reports, Madam Gifty Chumampofo was captured allegedly confirming that he had given out 1,500 cities and flat screen television to some of the delegates who were actually supposed to vote in that election. So Mr. Suhini put out that particular report during the vetting and asked their questions about it. He defended what happened and insisted that it wasn't a case of bribery or anything like that. And Mr. Suhini's position is that he thinks that the responses were not satisfactory. So at the level of the appointment committee, he's not backing her approval, and he would again vote against her on the floor of the House. And that's why the minority had concerns that if he had indicated that he wasn't supporting the approval at the level of the appointment committee, the committee report had no business claiming that there was consensus that all the 12 candidates should actually be approved right on the floor by consensus, which was what actually started the whole debate on the floor itself in the field. Right, so if I'm understanding what you're saying well, Suhini had a challenge with Gifty Chumampofo. The majority was under the impression that all 12 nominees would be approved. Then Suhini raised the objection. And so what actually started it all was the committee's report written by the chairman of the appointment committee, Joseph on the Clerk of Parliament, Parliament Appointment Committee, said that the appointment committee had recommended all the 12, including Madam Chumampofo, by consensus. And Mr. Suhini's point was that he was not part of that consensus because he's a member of the appointment committee. Okay. He was not part of the consensus. So the report could have said, probably by majority decision, although the chairman of the committee defended that decision and said that at the time they finished the vetting and were voting, he wasn't present to then vote against the approval. And so the minority side then decided to then back him, that a surprise had been put on them by the chairman of the committee. And so they would not then allow the majority to then have their way with the additional request for a waiver of the 48 hours window, which was how come they insisted that they should go the full haul and they would deal with the other aspects as to whether they are supporting her approval or is just Mr. Suhini who is actually speaking against her approval when they get to that particular place. Now, Gakpo, I'm curious, was there a specific response to what Frank Anodompreh said was a surprise to the majority? Because from what I'm hearing you say, the minority seems to support the idea that this approval was not done by consensus when the majority was clearly under the impression that we had a vote and we all decided. Exactly. Even the minority leader, Harun Idrisu, was visibly upset with what he said was an unfair treatment that was coming from their colleagues on the other side. He made the point that Mr. Suhini was actually stepping out to go get lunch around the time that the vetting was ongoing after he had asked his question. And so Mr. Suhini approached him, the minority leader, Harun Idrisu, and the chairman of the committee, Joseph, and told them in their ears that he is against Madam Gifty Chum's approval. So he doesn't understand how come the chairman of the committee is insisting that the approval was actually by consensus. So they also feel that a surprise was put on them by their colleagues on the majority side. Now the majority side was showing bad faith in terms of how they are approaching the third recommendation for approval when it comes to the Deputy Education Solicitor. And so the entire minority bloc is sympathizing with Mr. Suhini that to a certain extent, his views need to reflect in the committee's report that he voted against the third recommendation for approval of Madam Ampo. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, thank you very much for joining us from Parliament. Now, Ghana is among 8 countries from 3 continents securing support from the Dutch government to initiate social justice. Star Ghana, in collaboration with the West Africa Civil Society Institute, are leading the project in Ghana. Now, individuals, NGOs and media houses will embark on a series of development activities by harnessing local resources at the community level under the 5-year project. MFA Etiama Eli has more.
Prevailing times are pushing nations and individuals to be self-reliant. Key way to achieving this change is by galvanizing local philanthropy to initiate development. These are the remarks of renowned local philanthropist Dr. Kofi Osei-Kusi at the launch of the Giving for Change project spearheaded by Star Ghana Foundation and WASI.
Being a philanthropist is nothing really extraordinary. It's about, a private initiative, private people having the sense of, doing something for the public good. And like you rightly said, we certainly need to reignite that. What makes humanity is when we actually think about other people. Like myself, we didn't start what we're doing with millions in our account. We just started with a sense of looking at the problems that the youth are facing in this country and asking ourselves, what can we do about these issues? What can we do about the young people in prisons? What are we doing about young people on the streets? What are we doing about people with disabilities that are struggling to have access to education? And the question is, once you start from somewhere, you'll be amazed about how far it will take you. So there is hope for this nation if people are going to rise up, look at the problems, and forget about what is in it for them and think about what they can do for their country.
In many countries, the state is the main actor. But in free societies, and free societies have citizens, not subjects. It's a different thing. Citizens, free society have citizens. The citizens can organize themselves and stand up for themselves as well, alongside the state, and maybe even for the same purpose, to achieve the same things or to achieve other things, but they themselves have a responsibility as citizens to work for their society. Apart from the state, as I said, and apart from the private sector, that is the civil society. And that is a fundamental part of our society too in the Netherlands, and I think it is also a fundamental pillar of Ghana, because Ghana is a free country.
Kwame Sefakai of the Kukuroko Charities, an NGO which is into the provision of child incubators, said philanthropy demands trust and commitment. A key concern of project implementers bothered on understanding the role of culture and its impact on the execution of a change project. Former MD of Stanbic Bank, now a chief, Na Al-Hassan Andani, gives some advice.
We've come from feudal traditional kingdoms where all the kingdoms had systems to look after themselves, to colonial administration where we are put under one kind of governance system that had its own objectives. Those objectives were not about looking after us. It was about looking after the colonial kingdoms that brought them here. We transitioned to government. Again, our own history of governance has brought us thus far, where we have, thank God, at least two counterbalancing factors or forces. So what we need now to move forward is a very energized civil society organizations that you all sitting here represent.
A total of €1,899 will be expended on the 5-year-long project in Ghana.
Away from that story, the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly has come up in the news very recently, and a number of issues have developed because they have launched a 4-year development plan, placing emphasis on markets, facilities, water, and sanitation. There's more after this break.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders GIF says a barrage of constructive criticisms directed at the Ghana Revenue Authority and corresponding actions have helped in the implementation of the Integrated Customs Management Systems, ICOMS. The Customs Division of the GRA came under intense pressure last year from the business community over disruption in clearance at the ports due to the new system. But a year into the introduction of the electronic clearance system, Vice President of the Tema branch of GIF, Johnny Mante, tells Joy Business ICOMS has brought a number of changes. Here's Tema correspondent Kwame Anka.
ICOMS is an electronic customs clearance system which computerizes procedures and automates clearance process. Prior to its introduction, Ghana Community Network Services Limited, GCNet, and West Blue Consulting operated a multifaceted system which aided customs in revenue collection. However, customs in 2020 introduced ICAMS, which is a harmonized system to help reduce lapses. Implementation of the new system was greeted with some fears and criticisms from institutions within the business community, including Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIF. But Ghana Revenue Authority at the time maintained the new system was going to improve efficiency and cost of doing business at the various points of entry. A year into implementation of ICAMS, Joy Business finds out whether the new system has brought changes. Johnny Mante is Vice President of Tema branch of GIF.
They rolled out a new platform where members could go on and not just appeal, but find proper resolutions to their problems instead of probably doing lots of appeal. You could actually, what we call conflict resolution, on a platform where there is an officer who is always on standby to look at a case that somebody has seen and then review the case. It has enhanced revenue flow as well. Don't forget there are other platforms like the Ghana.gov platform that has also come on stream, which makes payments really easy. Don't forget also again that prior to ICOMS, there were only about 3 banks. Now every bank, it's made it so easy you can't even believe it. Now payment of duties is so simplified. In the comfort of your office, you can just make payments wherever you are, on your phone, wherever you are.
Despite these achievements, Johnny Mante says there are areas that need improvement to make ICAMS very efficient.
The network seems to, most of the time, seems to be unstable sometimes, and we've been talking about them. We know they are working on it. We pray that they work on it as soon as possible. And then also, yes, in as much as they engage us, we want it to be quite prompt. Of course, you know, we are spoiled, so we want more. But the point is that the more we engage, the better the system becomes. The more you get feedback, the more you're able to resolve your problem. So because the feedback has been very good, as soon as we talk about issues, they look at it and they try to resolve. So yes, where enhancements are done, we want to know quickly.
The business community believes GRA would achieve its goals with ICAMS if it continuously works on feedback. This has been Kwame Yanke's report for Joy Business.
All right, in other news this morning to do with the railway sector, Minister for Railways Development John Peter Amewu has called for public support to protect rail assets from distraction and theft. According to him, there has been a rise in theft of rail assets in recent times, a situation which is costing the nation millions of cedis. There's more in this report by Eben Sabute.
As the country moves towards standard gauge lanes for its railway projects, there are still efforts by the government to protect the old ones. This will facilitate the hauling of some commodities from farmlands to the ports and factory. The tour by the Minister for Railways, John Peter Amewu, was aimed at engaging workers on the field and to get first-hand information about some of the projects like the Kujokrom to Takwa and other parts of the country. According to him, the destruction and theft of railway scraps and other materials along the old lines pose a threat to the country.
Well, my concern has been addressed yesterday with the chief, is to see how we can work in collaborations with the authorities, and also the railway companies. Where some of this line passes through, I don't know. The MD of railway company know, the workers know. And so it is very difficult for somebody to wake up from my village in Kwekweh constituency and jump onto a railway line without knowing where the lines are. So again, I want to say that there are some insiders. Okay, I'm not saying the MD is necessarily doing that, but there are insiders that are supporting this. So we are also appealing to them to help us to make sure that we can tell this practices.
All right, Railways Development Minister there, John Peter Amewu. You can catch up on other stories on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Be sure to go there and read more of our business stories. Up next, Tech Talk. Sparky is on standby.
Time for Tech Talk. And if you live in the tech world, you must be very familiar with what I'm about to talk about. Leaks. You people are always leaking something, finding something. Yeah. Spiky.
And we're always fixing the leaks too.
Okay, so this is about Windows 11.
Yes.
Which I'm excited to hear about.
I am excited myself. I mean, Windows 10 has changed the perception people have about Windows. You know, everyone used to think Windows was always buggy and not the best OS to be used. But Windows 10 fixed a lot of things. And guess what? Windows 11 was announced to be coming out on the 24th of June. And it has leaked. Yeah, the kind of leaks that we like, techies, is when something new comes. And it's leaked to the extent that you can actually download it and install it. It's not a full version, it's a trial version. But my advice to people, don't install the ones that have leaked on the internet. One, it's not complete. So if anything breaks, Microsoft won't help you. I won't help you. No techie can help you because it's not something that has been tried and tested.
Okay.
And then secondly, hackers could take advantage of the curiosity of many out there who want to experience what Windows 11 is like and then fix in some bugs or even ransomware. You know, you don't know how far these guys can go, but my advice is don't download it. But it looks good. I mean, you see screenshots. If you want to experience it, you can go online and just Google Windows 11. There are a lot of photos. I like the new start bar. It's centered. You know, it's very minimalist, and I love minimalist.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
because the desktop can get cluttered on its own.
Yes, it looks very
good. So a minimalist look is good.
And it's got great wallpapers. Did you see that?
Yes, I saw. I'm a bit distracted because I like what I'm seeing. Look, but if you love leaks, you hate ads, don't you?
Yes, you will hate ads. You will hate ads. And Instagram Reels, those who love Instagram, the ladies. And I mean the guys, I love Instagram Reels, scrolling through my Instagram feed.
You like Instagram. You like looking at
No, it's cars.
the ladies on Instagram.
No, come on. See, I open my Instagram.
I can't show the screen.
Cars. You can see
and
cars.
then there is a lady. Anyway,
cars.
You go ahead.
So Instagram Reels, we all know those short videos on Instagram. You scroll, you experience them. Instagram says it's going to be putting in some ads now. I mean, they need to get paid. It's a free service. You've been using it for free for a long time. It's about time they got paid. So yeah, Instagram Reels is going to be getting some.
When is it starting?
Ads. They haven't stated yet, but they've tried it in certain countries like India, Germany, and the rest.
And how's the audience responding to it?
Well, they're already experiencing ads and stories. So they're pretty much used to it by now. I'm not sure people are going to complain.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So let's move to body fat.
Yes.
Right.
So Amazon
which will help my Instagram page, you know, because I need to look shape for my Instagram.
You need to look sharp.
To trim and in shape, I should say. Yeah.
Unlike skinny boys like anyway, Amazon has this smartwatch that can, they've got the Halo band, and what it does is you take pictures of yourself. You take a couple of pictures of yourself, coupled with the scanning that a band does, it creates a 3D image of yourself, and it can accurately estimate the amount of body fat you have. And it's actually very good because a lot of researchers, Amazon themselves, with all that money, have done a lot of research, and they've proven that it's even more accurate than certain lab devices that are actually used. But the scientists say, hey, we understand that yes, it does a good job, but we're not going to use it for scientific research purposes. But you can use it for yourself to give yourself some.
So you take a picture and it takes a 3D image of you.
Yes, so you take a couple of pictures, and then it's called a body scan feature.
And then it scans you.
So,
Spiky, thank you very much for joining us with Tech Talk. Always a pleasure being here. And this is where we end this bulletin of Joy News Desk with me, Daniel Daze. Up next is Joy News Interactive, and then I'll be back at midday with Joy News Today. See you then.